My fiancé called off our wedding 3 weeks before the ceremony to marry my sister instead. I was sitting in our apartment when he delivered the news over FaceTime, Lily's face visible over his shoulder, her hand possessively on his arm. "I'm so sorry, Emma," Jake said, not looking sorry at all. "But Lily and I have fallen in love." "Real love," I smiled. "Congratulations. I hope you'll both be very happy." They exchanged confused glances. This wasn't the script they'd written in their heads. "That's it?" Jake asked. "You're not going to fight for me?" "Why would I fight for something I don't want?" I hung up before I could see his reaction. Here's what Jake and Lily didn't know. I'd been planning to call off the wedding myself, for 3 months. The only reason I hadn't was because I was waiting for the perfect moment. And they just handed it to me. Let me back up. Jake Morrison and I met at a charity gala in 2021. He worked in finance, drove a BMW leased on credit, and wore suits that cost more than most people's monthly rent. He was 29. I was 27. He thought I was a gallery assistant making $40,000 a year. I let him think that. The truth was more complicated. My family, the Chen family, owned one of the largest commercial real estate portfolios in the city. Shopping centers, office buildings, luxury apartments. My great-grandfather had started with a single storefront in Chinatown in 1952. By the time I was born, we owned 47 properties worth approximately $340 million. I worked at Chen Contemporary Gallery because I loved art. Not because I needed to, but I'd learned early that telling people about money changed how they treated you. Men either wanted to marry you for it or were intimidated by it. Friends either used you or resented you. So I kept it quiet. I drove a modest car, lived in a regular apartment, wore affordable clothes, and I never, ever mentioned my family's net worth. Jake had proposed after 14 months with a ring that cost 3 months of his salary, which I later discovered he'd financed. The proposal was at an expensive restaurant where he'd made a show of ordering champagne. I said yes because I was tired of being alone, and he seemed stable enough. That was my first mistake. The cracks started showing in February. Jake began making comments about my job. "When we're married, you should quit," he'd say. "I make enough for both of us. You could stay home, maybe start having kids." I'd smile and change the subject. Then he started talking about money. His money, how much he made, how much he'd saved, how he was going to take care of me. "You won't have to worry about anything," he'd say, patting my hand like I was a child. "I'll handle all the finances. You're not really a numbers person anyway." I have a degree in economics from Stanford and sat on the board of 3 family companies, but I didn't correct him. I just started paying attention. I noticed Lily hanging around more in March. My sister was 25, beautiful in an obvious way, and had always treated my life like a shopping catalog. If I had it, she wanted it. She'd show up at our apartment unannounced, touch Jake's arm when she laughed, wear clothes that were just slightly too tight, too low cut. Jake ate it up. "Your sister's fun," he'd say. "Not like you. You're always so serious," I'd smile. "She's young. You're only 2 years older. Some people mature faster than others." I found the messages in April. Jake had left his laptop open, careless, and a notification popped up. iMessage from Elle last night was incredible. "I can't stop thinking about you." I sat down, opened the message thread. Read everything. 3 months of messages. Hotel reservations. Plans to tell me, after the wedding deposits are non-refundable, so she has to deal with the cancellations. Lily. She's going to be devastated. I almost feel bad. Jake, don't. She'll be fine. She's tougher than she looks. Plus, she's got her little gallery job to keep her busy. Lily. When are you going to tell her? Jake. A few weeks before the wedding. That way she can't back out of the venue contract. I already put everything in my name, but she offered to reimburse me half. Once I tell her, she'll feel obligated to pay me back for the deposits even though the wedding's not happening. Lily. You're evil. I love it, Jake. I learned from the best. Saw my dad do the same thing to his first wife. Stuck her with all the debt from their wedding, then married my mom 6 months later. I took screenshots of everything, saved them to multiple drives. Then I did something they weren't expecting. I called my lawyer. Richard Voss had been the Chen family attorney for 30 years. He'd taught me how to read contracts when I was 16. "Tell me everything," he said when I walked into his office. I did. The affair. The messages. The plan to stick me with wedding debt. "How much has been spent so far?" he asked. Jake put down deposits totaling about $23,000. He keeps asking me to reimburse him, my half. I've been stalling. Don't pay him anything. Richard made notes. "What do you want to do?" "I want them to think they've won. I want them to cancel the wedding and feel clever about it. And then I want to destroy them." Richard looked up. "Define destroy." "Legally, financially, socially. I want them to regret every decision that led to this moment." He smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I can work with that. The plan was elegant. First, I would let Jake think I was clueless. Keep playing the naive fiancé who didn't notice anything was wrong. Second, I would make sure Jake kept paying for wedding expenses. I'd offer to reimburse him but never actually do it. He was counting on my guilt to get money out of me after the breakup. Third, I would document everything. Every affair, every lie, every financial manipulation. And fourth, this was Richard's idea. I would make sure the breakup happened in the most publicly humiliating way possible. "We need witnesses," Richard said. "People who matter to Jake professionally and socially. His work colleagues? Better. His clients." I started planning. Jake worked at Morrison & Associates. Yes, his father's firm, which explained a lot. Managing wealth portfolios for high-net-worth individuals. He loved to brag about his important clients. What he didn't know was that 3 of his biggest clients were people I'd grown up with. Friends of my family. People who trusted the Chen name. I made some calls. May arrived. Jake was getting sloppy. He stopped coming home 3 nights a week. Stopped hiding his phone. Stopped pretending. Lily would text me asking to grab lunch and then cancel at the last minute. I knew where she was. My mother called, oblivious. "Are you excited about the wedding?" "Only 6 weeks away." "Very excited," I said. I wasn't lying. Just not excited about the wedding they thought was happening. The engagement party, our second one, for Jake's work colleagues, was scheduled for May 18th. Jake had insisted on it. "It's important for my clients to see I'm settled, family-oriented," he'd explained. "Married men get better accounts." I'd agreed immediately. "Of course. Whatever you need." I spent $3,000 on a beautiful dress. Booked the private room at Thornhill, the most exclusive restaurant in the city. Invited everyone Jake wanted, including 3 of his biggest clients. And their wives. And their lawyers. Jake was thrilled. "This is perfect, Emma. This is going to be huge for my career." "I hope so," I said sweetly. The party was May 18th, a Saturday evening. 70 people in a room that sparkled with crystal and candlelight. I arrived early. Made sure everything was perfect. Jake arrived with his parents. Lily arrived separately. Didn't want to seem too eager. She'd texted me that morning, pretending we were still sisters who confided in each other. The party started. Jake worked the room, shaking hands, laughing too loud. Lily hovered near the bar, watching him. I waited. At 8:30 p.m., I tapped my glass. The room went quiet. "Thank you all for coming," I said, smiling. "Jake and I are so grateful for your support as we begin our lives together." Jake beamed. "I wanted to share something special tonight. A toast to Jake, the man I'm going to marry. The man who's taught me so much about love, commitment, and trust." People raised their glasses. "But before I do," I continued, "I want to tell you all a story about how Jake proposed. It was at Mercado's, that beautiful Italian place downtown. Very romantic. He got down on one knee in front of everyone." Jake nodded, enjoying the attention. What Jake doesn't know is that I recorded the whole thing. I was so excited, I had my best friend hiding nearby with her phone. I pulled out my phone. I thought we could watch it together, relive that beautiful moment. Jake's smile faltered slightly. I don't think— Oh, it'll be fun!" I connected my phone to the room's projector screen, but I didn't show the proposal video. I showed the screenshots. All of them. Every message between Jake and Lily for 3 months. Hotel receipts. Pictures they'd sent each other. The room went absolutely silent. "Oops," I said quietly. "Wrong video." Lily's face drained of color. Jake stood frozen, mouth open. That's strange, I continued, scrolling through. These messages are from my fiancé and my sister, planning their relationship, planning to tell me after the wedding deposits were non-refundable, planning to stick me with the debt. I looked up. Does anyone else think that's strange? Jake's father stood up. Turn that off. Why? Everyone should see this. I kept scrolling. Here's my favorite part, where Jake talks about learning this tactic from his father. Something about sticking his first wife with wedding debt? Jake's mother's face went white. She turned to her husband. You told him about that? Oh, this is awkward, I said. Should I keep going? Turn it off. Jake lunged toward me. Security stopped him. I'd hired 2 guards, just in case. The best part, I said to the room, is that Jake thought I was some naive gallery assistant who'd be devastated by this. Who'd pay him back for half the wedding deposits even after he dumped me. I smiled. Jake, sweetheart, I have a confession. I'm not actually a gallery assistant. He stared at me. I'm Emma Chen, of the Chen family. We own 47 commercial properties in this city worth approximately $340 million. I work at the gallery because I like art, not because I need the money. I gestured to 3 men in the room. Mr. Yamamoto, Mr. Pierce, Mr. Richardson. I believe you all know my father. You've done business with our family for years. The 3 men nodded slowly. They looked at Jake with contempt. I could have bought this venue outright, I continued, but I let Jake pay for everything because I wanted to see how far he'd go. How much he'd spend trying to impress people while planning to betray me. I turned to him. The answer is $23,000, by the way. That's how much you spent on deposits for a wedding you were planning to cancel. Emma, Jake started. Those deposits are non-refundable, I said. And since you signed all the contracts, you're responsible for the cancellation fees too. That's another $47,000, so $70,000 total. Congratulations on your engagement to my sister. I hope it's worth it, Lily was crying. Jake looked like he might vomit. One more thing, I said. Mr. Yamamoto, Mr. Pierce, Mr. Richardson, Jake manages your portfolios, correct? They nodded. Did you know that Jake has been using client funds to pay for personal expenses? Hotel rooms, expensive dinners, gifts for his girlfriend? I pulled out another document. I have bank statements, transfer records, everything you need for an audit. That wasn't actually true. I didn't have access to Jake's client accounts. But the bluff worked. Jake's father grabbed his arm. Tell me she's lying. Jake said nothing. Mr. Yamamoto stood. I'll be contacting the SEC on Monday. And my lawyer. He looked at Jake's father. Your son is finished. He left. Mr. Pierce and Mr. Richardson followed. Half the room emptied within 5 minutes. I left the party at 9:00 p.m. Went home to my real apartment. Not the modest one Jake knew about, but my actual penthouse in the Diamond Tower. Poured myself a glass of wine worth more than Jake's monthly salary. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. That was the most spectacular thing I've ever witnessed. Well played. AI stared at it, confused. Another text. Alexander Hartwell. I was at your party tonight. Had to see Morrison pitch. Glad I stayed for the show instead. Alexander Hartwell. I knew the name. Venture capitalist. Built 3 unicorn companies before he was 35. Net worth somewhere in the billions. Thank you, I replied. Sorry you wasted your evening. Wasted? That was better than theater. Have dinner with me tomorrow? I hesitated. To discuss business, he added. I'm interested in investing in art galleries. Tomorrow at 7, perfect. I'll send my driver. The fallout was nuclear. Jake was fired within 48 hours. The SEC investigation found irregularities that led to criminal charges. Nothing major. He was sloppy, not a criminal mastermind, but enough to destroy his career. His father disowned him publicly. I did not raise my son to steal from clients, he told the business press. Lily moved back in with our mother, who stopped speaking to me for 3 months before finally calling to apologize. I didn't know the full story, she said quietly. Lily told me you'd stolen Jake from her. She would. She's seeing a therapist now. Might take a while. Good. Dinner with Alexander Hartwell changed my life. Not because of romance, that came later, but because he actually did want to invest in art. I've been looking for a way into the contemporary art market, he said over wine that cost $2,000 a bottle. Private collection investment, gallery partnerships. You know this world. I know money. Could be interesting. We talked for 3 hours. Art, business, strategy, vision. I like how you think, he said as his driver took us back to my building. Methodical, patient, willing to play the long game. Jake called me boring. Jake's an idiot. He smiled. Dinner again next week? Business or pleasure? Why not both? The relationship developed slowly. Alexander was different from Jake in every way that mattered. He was genuinely successful, not performing success. He was interested in my thoughts, my ambitions, my work. He asked questions and listened to answers. He also thought my revenge at the engagement party was the most attractive thing I'd ever done. Most women would have cried and made a scene, he said. You turned it into performance art. I'm an art curator. Everything's a performance, he laughed. Marry me. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. We dated for 8 months before he officially proposed. New Year's Eve, private dinner on his yacht, ring that cost more than Jake's entire annual salary. I know this is fast, Alexander said, but I'm 37 years old. I've dated enough to know what I want, and I want you. Because I'm rich? Because you're brilliant. The money's just a bonus. He smiled. Though I'll admit, dating someone who can't be impressed by expensive things is refreshing. I said yes. We got married in June, exactly 1 year after Jake was supposed to marry Lily. Small ceremony. 50 guests, no drama, my mother came. Lily didn't. The wedding gift from Jake arrived 3 days before the ceremony. A card with 2 words. You won. I threw it away without responding, because I hadn't won anything. I'd just refused to lose. Alexander and I honeymooned in the Maldives. When we got back, there was a message from an unknown number, a photo of Jake, standing outside a Walmart in a manager's vest. The message, thought you'd want to know. Lily, I showed Alexander. Do you feel bad? He asked. No, not even a little. I thought about it. Really thought about it. He tried to humiliate me, tried to rob me, tried to use me. I deleted the photo. I just made sure everyone knew who he really was. That's not revenge. That's truth. Alexander kissed my forehead. I really did marry the right woman. 5 years later, I'm 33. Chen Contemporary Gallery expanded to 4 locations. Alexander's investment turned it into a $50 million business. We added digital art, NFTs, virtual exhibitions. I sit on the boards of 6 companies, run a foundation that provides art education to underprivileged kids, speak at conferences about entrepreneurship and family business succession. Alexander and I live in a house with more square footage than Jake's entire apartment building. We have 2 dogs, an art collection worth $40 million, and a standing reservation at every Michelin-starred restaurant in the city. We're happy. I ran into Lily last month at a coffee shop. She was wearing scrubs. She'd gone back to school, become a nurse. Her hair was pulled back, no makeup, tired eyes. Emma, she said, stopping short. Lily. Awkward silence. You look good, she said finally. Happy. I am. I'm sorry. For everything. I was young and stupid and jealous. She smiled slightly. Turns out stealing someone's life doesn't give you a life of your own. What happened with Jake? We lasted 6 months after the party. Then he got bitter and mean. Blamed me for ruining his life. She shrugged. I heard he's engaged again. Some girl he met at work. You dodged a bullet. We both dodged bullets. You just dodged yours with style. I almost laughed. Are you happy? I asked. Getting there. Therapy helps. Work helps. Being alone helps. She hesitated. Think we'll ever be sisters again? Maybe. Eventually. I'd like that. She left. I stayed. And for the first time in 5 years, I felt something like forgiveness start to form. Not for what she'd done, but for who she'd been when she did it. Young. Stupid. Desperate for something she didn't understand. I'd been all those things once, too. Just better at hiding it. That night, Alexander asked me about the encounter. How do you feel? He said, lighter. Think you'll reconnect? Eventually. No rush. I curled into him on the couch. I have everything I need right here. Even if I told you I'm thinking about running for office? I sat up. What? Governor, maybe. He grinned. Thought it might be fun. Public service. Legacy building. You're serious. Would you be interested in being First Lady? I thought about it. The exposure. The scrutiny. The work. Only if I can keep the gallery. Wouldn't dream of asking you to give it up. He kissed me. Besides, I'm going to need a partner who's smarter than me. Better at strategy. Willing to play the long game. You're just using me for my tactical skills. Absolutely. That work for you? I smiled. It works for me. Alexander won the gubernatorial race 2 years later. I became First Lady of the state at 35. We used the platform to fund art education programs across the state. I spoke at schools, community centers, prisons. Told young women that being underestimated was an advantage if you knew how to use it. At one event, a girl raised her hand. What's the best revenge? She asked. I smiled. Success, I said. Always success. Living well, building something beautiful, making them regret they were never part of it. And if that doesn't feel like enough, then you haven't built it big enough yet. The room laughed. I did too, because it was true. I'm 37 now. Jake is 44, managing a regional bank branch, divorced twice, living in a suburb I've never visited. Lily is 34, nursing director at a children's hospital, dating someone kind who treats her well. We have lunch once a month. She's in my phone as sister again. My mother is proud of both of us, in different ways. And me? I'm First Lady, gallery owner, board member, wife, friend. The girl who smiled and said congratulations when her fiancé left her for her sister. The woman who turned betrayal into a launching pad. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that engagement party. The moment I pressed play on those screenshots. The look on Jake's face. Alexander catches me smiling. What are you thinking about? He asks. The night we met. Best party I ever attended. Best party I ever hosted. He pulls me close. Think they know you're governor's wife now? I'm sure they've heard. You ever regret it? The public humiliation. Going nuclear? I think about it. No, I say finally. They plan to humiliate me privately. I just made sure the humiliation was public and accurate. You're terrifying. You love it. I really do. The thing about betrayal is that it reveals who people really are. Jake revealed he was willing to defraud me for money. Lily revealed she was willing to hurt me for attention. And I revealed I was willing to destroy them both for justice. Some people call it revenge. I call it consequences. There's a saying in my family. Patience is power. My great-grandfather used to say it while building his empire. One property at a time, one deal at a time. Never rushing, always watching. I learned from him. Jake and Lily thought they were playing chess. They didn't realize I was playing a different game entirely. And by the time they figured it out, I'd already won. I'm Emma Chen Hartwell, now First Lady, gallery owner. Billionaire's wife. The girl who smiled and said congratulations. The woman who turned betrayal into a throne. And every time someone asks me about that night, the engagement party, the screenshots, the dramatic reveal, I smile the same smile I gave Jake on that FaceTime call. I hope they're both very happy, I say, and I mean it. Because their happiness has nothing to do with mine, and mine is everything they'll never have.